The offseason is a time of change around the National Football League, but perhaps no team has experienced quite as much turnaround as the Buffalo Bills, a team that has seen several veteran leaders and top performers walk out the door to find new homes. While a lot of familiar faces have departed Buffalo, the Bills have added quite the infusion of youth in what many are calling a youth movement, with some free agency signings and a total of 10 draft selections, surrounding franchise quarterback Josh Allen with young talent in order to keep their Super Bowl window open for an extended period of time. Many fans hate what Buffalo has done this season, and others, they love it. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, but one thing is for certain, and that's the fact that this youth movement was necessary for Buffalo. It wasn't a matter of if it was going to happen, it was a matter of when it was going to happen. Welcome back to the Bills Bunker. I'm Jake Varco, and it's been quite the offseason for the Buffalo Bills, who've seen several faces walk out the door, and we've seen several new faces enter One Bills Drive to become Buffalo Bills. And in this video, I'll be breaking down these signings, some of these departures as well, and I'll be giving the Buffalo Bills a complete offseason grade to date. So far, I've done offseason grade earlier a few months ago during free agency's first wave, and then I did one after the draft. Now I'm going to be combining the two videos into one basically, and I'm going to give you my complete offseason grade for the Buffalo Bills. But before I do that, I'd like to take a moment to encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for other content coming your way right here on the Bills Bunker, and click like if you like this video. Let's grade this team's offseason. So let's start off with the offense, where the Buffalo Bills lost a trio of leaders in Stefon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and Mitch Morse, along with other contributors on that side of the football. The receiver room took a real hit this offseason, with Gabe Davis joining the Jacksonville Jaguars and Stefon Diggs being traded to the Houston Texans in exchange for a 2025 second-round pick. In order to fill these voids, Buffalo added veteran wideouts Curtis Samuel, Matt Collins, and most recently Chase Claypool, while also adding 20-year-old Keon Coleman out of Florida State with the 33rd overall pick in the NFL Draft. The Bills lost two players that have been their top receiving threats over the last 4 seasons, but they still have a lot of promise in a young wide receiver room that has a lot of room for growth and development as a whole. On top of all this, the offense features weapons such as James Cook, who operates out of the backfield, along with a tight end duo of Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. So Josh Allen has a ton of options in his arsenal of weapons, and he also has protection despite losing veteran center Mitch Morse. On the offensive line, Buffalo traded Ryan Bates to Chicago, while Mitch Morse is set to reunite with Gabe Davis after he also signed with Jacksonville. The Bills attempted to offset these departures on the offensive line by signing veteran interior offensive lineman Will Clapp from the Los Angeles Chargers, as well as veteran tackle La'el Collins, who hasn't played since 2022 as he's coming off an ACL injury. These additions were noteworthy, but the team got reinforcements through the draft, which were their most notable additions, as Buffalo selected a total of 3 offensive linemen in the 2024 NFL Draft, with those being center Cedric Van Pran Granger, tackle Tillen Grable, and tackle Travis Clayton from the NFL's International Pathway Program. Of the 3 offensive linemen that were added by Buffalo through the draft, only one of them really has a chance to make an impact on the team this season, and that's Van Pran Granger from Georgia, who is a former teammate of James Cook, and realistically, this is a guy who could compete for the starting center spot in 2024. Some excellent 5th round value from Brandon Beane, finding him as a potential diamond in the rough. A lot of people will have you believe that the Buffalo Bills offense is going to have a steep decline in production in 2024, but I'm not buying it. If you remember back to last season, we saw Stefon Diggs have essentially no production in the back half of the season, while other young talents such as Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid stepped up for Buffalo. When you have Josh Allen under center, you should be able to replace the pieces around him and still find success, and I expect nothing less from the Bills in 2024. I think the Bills did a great job at filling the voids of the offense. Obviously, there were several notable departures over the course of this offseason, and they're going to hurt the team, sure. But I think in the long run, the Bills are going to be better on offense with all these new additions. And at the beginning of the season, there's probably going to be some growing pains because there's a lot of young guys that are entering a new system, and that's just the way football works. But as the season continues, these guys should be able to fit into their roles better, and the Bills, they should find success on the offensive side of the football in 2024 with Josh Allen under center. There's no reason that they shouldn't. The defensive side of the football also experienced a significant amount of turnaround with the departure of their top sack getter in 2023, Leonard Floyd, up front on the defensive line. But it was the secondary that suffered the most significant hit, and that's because cornerstone pieces Jordan Poyer and Trey White both found new homes, and it looks like Micah Hyde is set to retire, although it hasn't yet been confirmed by him. On top of that, cornerback Dane Jackson got paid as he signed a big deal with the Carolina Panthers. Multiple key contributors of the defense departed Buffalo. However, they were able to re-sign defensive lineman Daquan Jones and AJ Epinesa, while also adding Dwayne Carter and Javon Solomon into this defensive line rotation through the draft. Carter and Solomon are a pair of players that can legitimately be expected to contribute up front for Buffalo in the upcoming 2024 season. However, this is probably my biggest concern for the defense next season. We have absolutely no idea what to expect from Von Miller next year after he had a down season in 2023, coming back from an injury the season prior. And the Bills also lost their leader in sacks, which is a big blow to their defensive line. They'll need guys like Gregory Rousseau and others to step up next season. The linebacking core remains largely the same, as Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard are both expected to return from injury in 2024, which is going to supply this defense with a massive boost. Remember, we haven't seen these two guys play together on the field at the same time very frequently, and it's something Bills Mafia should definitely be excited about. Obviously, the secondary was a big focus for Buffalo after they lost their longtime safety tandem of Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. And the Bills, they addressed the safety position through free agency and through the draft after re-signing Taylor Rapp to a 3-year contract. The Bills' starting safety spots appear to be very much open for competition, with veteran Mike Edwards being signed by Buffalo after he won his second Super Bowl in Kansas City last year, and with rookie Cole Bishop being drafted by Buffalo in the second round of the draft out of Utah. A lot of people are worried about the offense and how they'll produce next season. But myself, my bigger concern is the defense on that side of the football, because that secondary, it's going to be a really different group. No Poyer, no Hyde, no Trey White. And Trey White is someone who he had injuries throughout the last few seasons, but that's a lot to replace on that defensive side of the football. That defensive line is my biggest question mark, although the Bills did add a nice infusion of youth at the position, and they'll be getting their two linebackers that are both studs back into the mix next season. But for me, that's the biggest question mark. But with that being said, Sean McDermott is someone who's a defensive-minded head coach, and I certainly believe in his ability to coach these players up and put them in spots to succeed in his defensive scheme. The Bills have had a top 5 defense in terms of scoring in each of the past 3 seasons, and I really don't expect a significant drop-off in that category as long as Sean McDermott's the head coach of this team. So overall, there's a lot of change on this team on both sides of the football. A lot of veterans out and a lot of new players, new young faces in the midst of an infusion of youth with 10 NFL draft picks and a bunch of depth signings and some, really, the biggest free agency addition was a guy like Curtis Samuel or Mike Edwards. There was a lot of new faces coming and a lot of young, talented players. The goal for Buffalo this offseason was clear. That is to maximize the Super Bowl window of Josh Allen. And I think what the Bills did here should allow them to do that, because if you hit on just a few of those draft picks, those players are going to produce for quite some time. And obviously Josh Allen on the offensive side of the football, he's a star. He has some of these players returning still. I think the Bills are going to be just fine. There's a reason that they're still favored to win the AFC East on any sports gambling book you look. You look at any sports book, Vegas still has Buffalo favored to win the AFC East, and that comes for a reason. Vegas, they know. The odds makers know. They know what's going on. And honestly, I'm going to grade this Bills offseason a grade of a B+. Because, sure, they lost Diggs. They took on over $30 million of dead cap losing Diggs. They lost Poyer. They lost Hyde. They lost Trey White. They lost so many great players. But they added that infusion of youth. And it had to happen at some point in time. Brandon Beane decided this was the year, not to just get rid of some of them, but to get rid of all of them. Considering that this team was once over $30 million over the cap, $40 million over the cap. And now, they have a team that looks pretty solid, and it's still favored to win the division. I gotta give credit where credit is due. It's pretty solid. Pretty solid offseason overall. B+ grade, and I think next offseason something that's going to be even better. The Bills, they're not a joke of a team. This team's still going to compete next season, and this was some great work by Brandon Beane overall. But I want to know your thoughts. What is your grade for the offseason? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you like this video, if you agree, click like. Stay tuned for more content coming your way on the channel right here on the Bills Bunker. I'm Jake Varco. Go Bills.